everyone. Here's my pen. Sorry. Kind of forgot I was live for a second. Hi everyone. Just when I'm looking for something and I can't find it. Hi, what's popping? Happy Wednesday everyone. Hello Miss Caprice, how you doing? All right guys. Oh, thank you. Okay, today's guest speaker is Joddea. Hope I pronounced the name correctly. And the topic of the hour is maintaining individualism in a conformant environment and so much more. The layers of childhood, obtaining your individualism, whether that transcends into relationships, marriages, whether that means deteriorating and disintegrating from friendships and going into solitude and so much more. Let's see what we get. Oh, I miss you too. 100. You know where to find me. Don't try. You know where to find me. Let's make it happen. New Year's coming. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Bless you, cousin. Let's put you in the inbox. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Today's going to be an interesting one. Let's see where we can take the conversation. Joddea, are you present? Let me see. This is why it's always good to have a backup device. Because it means I usually it's secretly, go looking for guests. Yeah? Here we go. Okay, girl. So if you can see the banner, a little notification that says, request to invite yourself onto the live. Can you see a notification at all? That may say request to invite yourself on the live. If you cannot see it, it must mean that you need to update your Instagram app. Can anyone see the notification that says press to request to join live? If you can see that, that means your Instagram app is updated. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Where's my tea?
Good afternoon. Well, good afternoon for me.
Good afternoon to you. Good evening to me. Remind us, what time is it where you are?
It's 2 p.m. over here.
2 p.m. Well, before I get into all of that, hello, lovely. You look lovely.
Thank you. You look lovely as well.
Thank you very much. Guys, this is Joddea. Have I pronounced your name correctly?
It is. It's Joddea.
Yeah. Super. And today, your topic of the hour, chosen topic, is maintaining individualism in a conformant environment. There's so many layers of the onion that we can unravel to make sense of that. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's get into it. But before we do, let me get into the warm-up zone. But let me start off by asking you, how have you spent your morning before coming on the live this afternoon for you, this evening for me?
Just working. I got up a little bit early and took care of some things around the house. That's it. It's so cold over here.
Oh my goodness. Remind us, where are you? What city are you in?
I'm in Louisiana, so I'm in the southern part of the United States.
So it's really cold right now?
It's about, let's see, it is 43 right now.
Okay.
That's cold for us.
Okay, yeah, well, it's really rainy over here. So, okay, all right. I don't envy your weather at the moment then, if that's the case. Yeah? All right.
Yes.
So before I get into the actual conversation of your topic today, let's get into the warm-up zone. And that is just general warm-up, random questions that I ask my wonderful guests. So it allows us to see and understand elements of your soul, girl. Yeah?
Yes.
All right. So who is Joddea? Tell us a bit about the soul of who you are.
So I would like to say that I'm still learning who I am.
Ooh.
But at this point in my life, I'm learning to stop being so scared of things, learning to experience more, learning to appreciate the little things that makes your day go well. It could be something so small as having like a good meal, a good healthy meal, and then your
Mhm.
body feels good, or getting up in the morning and having like a routine. So all the things I took for granted in the past when I wasn't on this journey, now I see how important it is for me to be a good person, a better person for myself and for others. So
Mm.
I enjoy playing with photography. I'm teaching myself photography currently. Um, and when I'm not doing that, I like going places. I like scenery. So that is fulfilling for me. I like going pretty places, taking pictures, and just enjoying it for what it is. I love cooking. I transitioned to vegan last year. So that's another thing that I
Is
have
that
started.
vegan dietary or is that vegan life?
Yes. Dietary. I'm working on the other part.
Right, because people always say, I'm a vegan. I'm like, no, you're not. Your couch is leather, you're wearing leather, you're wearing
Right.
cow skin. So that you're vegan dietary. At least you understand the difference between being a vegan and just having the dietary. It's two different things. But congratulations on your
Absolutely.
transition.
Yes. And that's really about it. I'm just enjoying my life and enjoying learning. I'm reading much more than I was, and it couldn't be better. It's
That's
really a good place to be
amazing.
right now.
That's
Yes.
amazing. I think that must be the best answer I can recall ever having so far on this live when someone says, when I ask, who are you as a soul? So let's take away the elements of the, even the reading or the vegan. When you said, I'm still learning myself, that for me and anyone watching it, to be real, is the most honest, grounded, wise, and everything else words I can think of answer that anyone could ever give. Because we're so used to, especially me, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and I'm that. But the reality is, you only know yourself up until right now, this
Right.
very second. So that is such an amazing response. And that tells me that you actually know yourself more than you think you do. The fact that you gave that answer and that's all you needed to really say. That's amazing. That's a great, I'm going to think about that.
Right.
I'm gonna make some changes with my damn self.
And
That's an amazing
part of
answer.
learning who you're
Amazing.
becoming and everything, it's a humbling experience because we
Mhm.
grow up a certain way and we feel, oh, I'm X, Y, Z. I was taught this. I was brought up into this. This defines me. But then we get out in the real world, other
Mm.
people live differently than us and they humble us because we might
Yeah,
have this ideology. We go out into the world and it's like, oh, I'm going to do this. And people are like, no, I know more than you. Let me teach you
yeah, yeah,
something. And then
yeah.
that's when the humbling experience comes in. Yes.
But that's amazing.
Definitely.
That's such an empowering answer. Because I always say, I only know what I know today. But the fact that you wrap that into who you are is a perfect, very reflective response. So that's amazing. All right. So where's your folks? We're still in the warm-up zone at the moment. So where is your folks from? What's your origin?
Okay, so most of my family is from Louisiana and in Texas, so that's both southern US. Um my family is in the Creole culture, so beyond that, we have like a lot of Haitian dishes, we have a lot of Haitian beliefs that we still practice. It's watered down because of everything that went on back in the day, but for the most part, like that's the core. So it's a
Okay.
little bit of everything. In my family, we do have French ancestry. We do have Spanish ancestry. And then everything else is just a melting pot of different things.
Nice, nice.
Hmm.
Okay. Nice. All right. So what was you like as the younger version of you? What was you
Very
like as a
curious,
child?
very, very curious. I was different. I'm the youngest of my siblings, so I let's see how I can describe this. I challenged my parents the most because I always had questions. So you would tell me, we do it this way. Why? Why are we doing it this way? And I feel like I was born old. And I was also, me and my oldest sister, we can see. So growing up, I would see spirits in the house. I would see, I don't know what I was seeing.
We're gonna get
Sometimes they
into
would
that
talk,
later.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes they would talk, sometimes they wouldn't. And it would always happen like early in the morning or late at night. And of course, when you tell your parents, like, oh, your imagination is so big. No, like, this is real. So that played a big part of it. I was very imaginative, very outgoing. I did well in school for the academic part, but behavioral part, no. Because I had a lot of energy and
Mhm.
my mouth
Academic
needed
part, yes.
deliverance, like they used to say. My mom used to say,
Mhm.
your mouth needs deliverance.
Your mouth needs deliverance. I think
Yes.
we got a lot in common, girl.
And so,
Wow. Okay. That is
so
hilarious.
with that being said, I was always a very adventurous child. And what I will say is I'm glad that I was brought up with a lot of love, even though there was a lot of discipline,
Mm.
because it gave me a very good outlook on life. Now, was it completely realistic? Because once you become an adult, there's not a lot of love out there. Maybe not, but it
Mm.
reminded me that there can be. So I'm
Right, I was
very
going to say,
thankful
is
that I was
there
brought
not,
up.
or is it a case of
Yes,
you haven't? I think there is, and there isn't. I think some people are destined for certain things, and some people and generations are not, no matter how much you are the best person in the world. So I think maybe you just haven't encountered a lot, and maybe I haven't encountered a lot, but some people has, just like that,
yes.
just like
So
that. Mm-hmm.
I definitely had a good childhood. I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad that the type household that I grew up in, you play outside. It wasn't none of that stay inside and like play video games all day. You go outside and play. I feel like that was a major help for me. And it helped me
Mm-hmm.
stay grounded because I was outside being a child and not being inside with the adults, you know? So I'm very thankful for that. The traditional upbringing, yes, it has its downfalls, but at the same time, it gave me a foundation.
Girl, you don't know how much we're similar. Yeah, very much so. But I was the
Yeah.
inside one till I ran away, girl. So yeah, I'm glad you was allowed to be outside. So yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. If you were to choose any color in the universe, so which color would you choose to best describe you and why?
Green, because I feel like I'm very lively. That's the color for Venus, and I'm a Libra, and Libra is ruled by Venus. I've always liked green. I've always liked green. I
Wow.
love plants, so that I could put it towards that as well. I love green.
Green. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite childhood memory?
Hmm. You know what? I don't have a specific favorite childhood memory,
Mhm.
but I will say that overall, getting off the bus after school and playing with my friends or going to watch like our little TV shows that came on after school was out, that was the best time ever. We didn't have phones. We knew where to meet up at. You just look for the bikes parked outside, and that was the house where everyone was. I feel like that was the purest time. We
That
didn't have to
sounds
worry
so
about
fun.
Yes, we didn't have to worry about all the stuff we're worried about now. We have to have a laptop now, a phone. We have to have a tablet. It's too much. Like it's just too much.
It's
It
a
was
lot.
so simple.
It's a lot. Like we feel like we can't live without it. Your
Mhm.
heart will skip a beat if your Instagram app doesn't open. Oh shit, I've been hacked. That's how deep we've lost it. Like, we literally, that's a whole other conversation anyway. But yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so two more warm up questions. If you were to choose a superpower, what would it be if you're not already it?
Hmm. Let's see. Ooh, that's a good question. Superpower. I would probably say I would want to be able to manipulate time and space.
Ooh.
Sort of like Doctor Strange, that type of vibe. I think that would
Ooh.
be what I would want.
And for some reason, I thought you were going to say, I am already my superpower. I don't know. Maybe you are, but you just didn't say it. Yeah, that's the vibe I get. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's
I'm getting
amazing.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Manipulate time. Interesting. One more question for you. If you were to choose anything to change about yourself, if anything, what would it be?
Okay, so can it be something in the past that affected like your future?
It's free
Anything?
will, whatever you please.
I would say if I could go back and change things, I went through a period of not speaking up for myself, thinking that it was bad. Because what happened was I grew up being outspoken, and then I thought maybe I need to stop being outspoken. So when I went through that phase of not doing it, that's where I started having downfalls because that's not who I am. So I wasn't living in my truth. So if I can go back and change that time frame where I was doing that, I feel like a lot of things could have been avoided. So I would say that.
That's nice, reflective.
Mhm.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's your warm-up zone. Now let's get into your subject of the hour, which is maintaining individualism in a conformist environment. I don't know how I'd remember that, me, my dyslexic self. Yeah, I done good. Okay, so what inspired you to choose that topic?
I think it's important. I think it's an aspect that a lot of us struggle with it, even though we don't necessarily want to admit it. A lot of people are scared to be their true naked selves in front of other people. They're scared to say, no, this is how I actually feel. This is who I actually am. Or we're so used to masking for work, our social circles, for family, because we want them to accept us to the point that we strip a little bit of ourselves away as time goes by. And it's killing you. Slowly but
Oh,
surely, like it's killing your soul. Like you have to
yeah,
be yourself.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
what? I have a lot of older women in my family that I talk to. And one of the main things they say was that I wish that I would have done this. I wish that I would have done that or, gone to school and become this. They have a lot of regrets and that's part from not being yourself. I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
don't want to be like that.
carry on. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm good. Um, I feel we are on a undefined amount of time on this earth. And if we continuously hide ourselves, we basically hiding from ourselves and hiding ourselves from others. One day you're gonna wake up and all this youth you had and when you were feeling able-bodied enough to do certain things you needed to do to be the person you're supposed to be, all that's gone now. Now all you have is regrets. Who wants to be that person?
100%. You know, this topic is actually, whichever way we dissect it, is actually extremely important, one of the most important. And the reason why, and people may not be aware, exactly magnifying what you just said, I started doing a project during lockdown, just before lockdown, and I entitled it The Art of Individualism, because that's how important it is to me. And I know we've lived two different lives, but clearly we have similar veins. Because for me, what it takes for people to repress is so agonizing. And in reverse, I always say, depending on who you are, being yourself could be the hardest job in the world. And I say job for those depending, like Michael Jackson or whoever it was. It wasn't easy him being him, for an example. Yeah. So it depends on who you are, whether again, how you were raised, what's expected of you. Maybe people say things to me all the time as simple as, I wish I could wear hats like you. And I'm like, it's a hat. But that
Yes.
that alone, actually, for some people, just to even wear a hat is a massive deal because for them, it's too eccentric. So something, it can be anything. It could be what you wear, how you speak, how you live, whatever. So it's so important to tap into elements of you. People die without ever exploring their true self. Could you imagine?
That's sad. It's very
Could you
sad.
imagine? It's real sad. And I think we all
Hmm.
still do it. There's still elements, whether it's in the workplace, because obviously, and if you're self-employed, we have to suppress a little bit of self, right? There's levels where you
Oh
can
yes.
excel and repress, okay?
Hmm.
So anyway, get into it. So let's start off, I guess, childhood then, as it makes sense, as you said, starting there in terms of culture, upbringing, and with you, where did the beginning light bulb go off for you in your younger stage where you felt like perhaps you wasn't being yourself?
I always kind of felt that I would eventually have to break free of like all of these traditions and expectations because my family is heavily Baptist.
Ah,
So yeah,
mhm.
there's a lot of preconceived notions around what you should be as a young woman growing up, which some of it, okay, I identify
Mhm.
with. I get it. We need some kind of structure, but at the same
Mhm.
time, I started
Mhm.
having questions, and I found myself being in church probably around 15 to 16, and I just didn't feel anything. I got baptized and everything, and I felt like we were just doing this ritual every Sunday, whereas we get up and we dress up and we go to church. It's like a show off thing. Oh, look, we're dressed like this, and it's a competition,
Oh,
and no one's
wow.
leaving with anything. Yeah, no one's leaving with any type of word, and everyone in the church is just there for a show. That's all. That's all it was,
I mean,
and I
okay,
felt
so
so
let me
disconnected.
ask you something. Sorry, let me interject before you go on. Could you possibly be speaking? I mean, could we possibly speak for an entire congregation? I would say a lot of people get the word and some don't. Some people hit the Holy Spirit and some don't. So I don't know if
Hmm.
it would be politically correct for us to say that nobody gets the word and everybody just there for show. A lot, maybe even the pastor sometimes, but a lot of people genuinely, whether it's a child, whether it's an elder, forget about the biblical in terms of the Bible now. I'm talking about is in the spirit. I think a lot of people do get that.
Hmm.
Maybe for
And
you, you definitely did it. Maybe for your household, but I would say a lot of people do.
right,
I mean,
and the particular
they'll be going.
location.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. The particular location we went to was very small, very tiny. And I just I just didn't feel right there. Now later on in my 20s, I eventually went to a non-denominational church and I felt better there. I felt like it was lighter. I felt like it
Okay.
wasn't so close knit and we had like a variety of people and it was a better energy. But growing up where we went, it just didn't do it for me.
That's the best word. It didn't do it for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you always felt okay.
And I would voice my opinion. And of course, it's like, we're going, you're going. But once I become of age, I stopped. And then I picked back up probably when I was 21, 22, and I found my own church. And I was okay with it.
So when you decided to stop when you came of age, as you say, how did
Mhm.
your family, who was heavily into the Baptist field, how did they respond to you, like your first stage of backsliding? They would see it as backsliding, rebellion. How did they? What was their response to you?
That's not good. Um,
Mm.
I was reminded that it wasn't a very good decision I was making, and I needed to find my way back because ultimately bad things happen when you're not consistent in going to church. But at first I felt a little bit of guilt because that's what I knew. But
Yeah.
then I thought about it, and then as more time passed and I wasn't going and nothing bad was happening, I started to think, well, maybe that's not true.
Nothing bad was happening.
It seems
Okay.
like it's okay.
And
Definitely.
what, what
So
inspired what inspired you to seek another church out for yourself?
I wanted to see what else they had out there. I was only used to one type of church, so I became curious, and I was like, well, they have non-denominational, they have Catholic, of course, and then the others. But I felt it was a good melting pot, and I chose this particular location. It was very modern. It was very like chilled out, and I felt comfortable. I didn't feel like I was being watched. I felt like I can go in there and sit down and just be myself and get what I needed to get from it, and then leave.
Are you still a part of the church circuit now?
I'm not. I evolved out of that again, um, and now I'm just on my own.
What inspired you then to have that final push of, you know what, this is not for me in terms of church?
I realized that what I was going there for, I could do at home. Nothing is stopping me from praying at home or in nature or anywhere, in my car, at work.
Mhm.
Um, the church is not necessary. The building itself is not the bridge between me and spirit. I learned that. And
Mhm.
this came with different dreams I was having, different experience I was having in life. I realized I'm experiencing life for what it's supposed to be as long as I do what I'm supposed to do for me. And I don't have to go in a building for that to happen now. Granted, some people need that kind of structure, but at that point, I had been through two different systems, and I no longer needed that form of framework for me. I was okay at that point.
Because naturally, we are the church, aren't we? And basically, I've always seen it as, for what I've been taught it is, which I agree it is, which is the church is just a building for like-minded fellowship to go. It's a bit like if we, like you get the traditional going by the lake, again, like yourself, wrapped in white, and people have the lake ceremonies and the spiritual, blessings. It's just a group of like-minded souls. I guess those who go to church love the fellowship amongst their own, and that's all it is. But we are the church, we are the temple. So I don't think there's anything wrong for those who do want to go, and nothing wrong for those who don't want to go. It's very individual, isn't it? So where do you stand now in terms of religion?
I don't have a religion. I would describe myself as pretty much just free spirit. I believe we do have a creator. I believe that as long as we treat ourselves good, treat our bodies good, respect ourselves, respect our bodies and others, and also be mindful of the things we do, that's how you maintain that connection. So that's what I'm focused on. I'm not trying to get caught up into any particular belief system.
Yeah.
It's tempting when you first get started to want to be this or want to be defined as such or one thing or another, but you have to be mindful and realize I can walk alone and be mindful of my decisions and do the right thing, and I'm going to get where I need to be.
100%. 100%. Okay, so let's just zoom more in on the topic as well, so people don't forget what it's about, which is, maintaining individualism in a conformant environment. Tell us more about, because I've seen a couple of your posts, and it does definitely magnify, again, being thyself, and I wonder, because I know why I always speak about it, but for you, can you zoom in a bit more of your backdrop for where this passion came from? Why do you speak so openly and, I guess, consistently about, not allowing people to take your light? And where's that really coming from? Is that from, we're going to touch on marriage and what your experiences, but is that we spoke about the beginning of childhood and influence at home and religion and church. Where did it transcend to next?
I would say probably like my mid-20s is when I started really seeing things for what they were and realizing that all these principles I was carrying with me that were weighing me down, I don't need all of this. Some of this will protect me. Some of the things I've been taught will keep me from getting myself into trouble, and I'm going to keep that. But the things that are weighing me down and prevent me from getting to that next level and achieving X, Y, Z, I have to let it go. I have to drop those bags off because it's holding me back. I don't want to be a bag lady. But that would definitely be the changing point for me, turning point in my life was like mid-20s. I realized half of the stuff I'm worried about doesn't matter. This is not even who I am. And I can be who I'm supposed to be. Now, it might bother some people. You might lose some people temporarily or permanently. Your social circle might change. You may lose it altogether. But that's just something you have to deal with. I don't feel like that should be a determining factor to not living in your truth, because our circles change all the time. People that we hold close to us, they change all the time. We have no control over that, but we do have control over ourselves and our own truth. That's all we can do.
Definitely. I actually think it takes a very strong person, or courageous, that should be the right word, a very courageous person to be able to sidestep, forward step, and not backstep to suit other people. I definitely, depending on your friendship groups, your family, or your environment, for someone to say, I'm nothing like what is around me. It doesn't mean anything around you is bad, but you're just nothing like it, and you're just going to shift in your own frequency truth. I think it takes the most courageous soul. I've done it, and I'll be doing it. So, and that means often you have to live quite a life of solitude. Maybe you're segregated from family and friends because it depends on who you are. It doesn't, it depends. So how did it play out for you in terms of going into your 20s, I'm not sure how what your age is now, but going in from your 20s, and are you in your 30s yet? You look really young.
I'm 33. I just made 33 in September.
Okay, you look very young, yeah. So how has
Thank
that
you.
affected, yeah, how has that affected your way of thinking in terms of holding on to the core of self whilst everybody's still struggling to fit in? You're happy to actually be you and step out. How was that what's the dynamics been like in personal relationships and friendship groups for you?
Now, at first, there was a lot of things I didn't know. Um, at one point, I had this mindset that just because I accept people for who they are, and I'm good with if you like what you're doing or how your life is, I like it for you, as long as you're safe and you're healthy. I thought everybody thought that way, but not everybody does. So that's when
No.
the harsh reality kicked in, and people were like, "You're in the what? You don't do this." People don't understand because they're so used to one thing, and it's not their fault. One day they might change, and then they realize, you know
Conformist.
what? She was
Conformist.
right.
Mm,
And
mm,
so that was definitely a challenge. It's the loss that can be a challenge. And you know, it might make you sad sometimes. Like, wow,
mm,
I've known these people for X amount of years, and now they're gone suddenly because we're different now. But it's not
mm,
that I'm different now. It's different the whole time. I just didn't know, and they
mm.
didn't know either. But I will say this: maintaining my individuality definitely strengthened my confidence in myself and taught me to be
No doubt.
self-reliant. Not to the point whereas I feel I don't need anybody, but to the point whereas I know I can depend on myself if I have to.
Come on now. Mm.
Yes, so I would say that is a major thing, especially if you are walking a path alone, and you might be walking a path alone for most of your life because you're supposed to be doing it for however long you're supposed to until you get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
But yes, so I definitely came across a lot of loss because of that, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
When you say loss, was that based on the fact that you began to live who you truly were and they didn't agree with with what you were living? And why would that
Yeah.
be?
People are typically here, they have a very traditional mindset, and if you step outside of the norm too much, they start to side eye you and question, like, should I be hanging around this person that thinks differently? I don't like that. It makes me uncomfortable, so I'm gonna back off. That's typically the mindset here because it is very small.
In
Um,
Louisiana?
yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, usually, or should I say sometimes, and maybe you can relate, people, depending on cultural background, religious backgrounds, I guess they can start to eyeball you if one's sexuality is not of female and male. That's a typical one because obviously people are like,
Hmm.
where we come from is do you know what I'm trying to say? It could be the type of partner you've chosen, even if it is heterosexual. Yeah, it could be a particular job. So, for an example, if a female decides they're going to be a mechanic or a plumber, what? Do you know what I mean? So I think those type
Yeah.
of I'm just giving you minor ones, but I'm trying to work out what drastic changes did you make that would make them feel like, well, I can't be a part of your life. What, if you don't mind sharing, what was those changes? Because I think if someone's improving their life, they're becoming more spiritual or together or happy. I don't see why someone would want to not hang out with you unless they are sent from that darker side of the light and
Right.
they're here to drag you back. Okay, so if you don't
Hmm.
mind sharing, what type of changes did you really make that made such an impact on people that maybe you'd let them go or they would let you go?
So I'm gonna say this first and foremost. I'm very into my ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
paying respect to my ancestors appropriately. That scares a lot of people.
How
Just
do
that
you do? How do
alone.
you do that?
Hmm.
I mean, I know everyone's doing it at the moment, but how do you do? How do you pay homage to your ancestors? In what way do you do it?
Okay, so in our culture, we typically have an altar space in our home if we have space, and we have candles, we have offerings, we'll have belongings of those who have passed. So I have all that in my
Mm-hmm.
house. Now, granted, my family all comes from the same culture, but they have gotten so far away from themselves and they are more so in the Christian lifestyle that it's scary to them because they're disconnected now. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember my mom telling me stories back in the day, even like on Halloween, my grandmother used to put a bowl of water in the middle of the kitchen table for those who have passed to have a cold drink. So it's not that we weren't doing it this whole time. It was just being done in little bits and pieces, and they didn't recognize it like this. This is our practice. This is us. It's
Mm-hmm.
our
Is that, is
heritage.
that, is that the Haitian side of you?
Yes.
Mm. But let me ask you a question that's relevant to this. Do you or do you not subscribe to the fact that, because it is a fact, I guess, that ancestors we know are people that were before the here and now. And as we know, not everybody was love and light. So you're going to have negative vibrational ancestors and also ones that are not. Yeah. But from
Hmm.
what, yeah, and I've said this on a few of my lives, and I speak to people who are traditional Africans and some deep lineages, and we've had talks, and they've often said things like people are doing all of this, they get involved in all the ancestors stuff and all this, and it's become a very popular, positive trend, but also a misunderstood trend as well. And I don't think people take in mind that not every ancestor is a good vibration. And some ancestors want to be left alone, where others need to be prayed to be resting in peace because they're not at
Yeah.
peace and they're causing havoc. And I think
Right.
people never speak about that part. Maybe I should have another live where people speak about that side as opposed to we give homage. Everyone's talking about homage, but no one's talking about, well, some need to be left alone. Some need to be, someone was
Absolutely.
listening just yesterday who's very into, I trust very deep with the knowledge. And she was saying, pray for some of them to be in peace because some of them are not. And people keep bringing them up and bringing them up and bringing them up. But we don't know any different. We just keep bringing up our ancestors. So I'm very aware. So that's not a practice that I do. That's not my calling as yet. And it could be yours. It could be many people that I do know. So how do you feel about that really as a fact that do you know which ancestor to leave alone? Do you know which ones to bring up? And do you know how to put them back to rest after you bring them up?
I definitely know which ones to not even worry about. Definitely and very specific when I pray, down to the
Yeah.
T, that we have an understanding here.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't
Definitely.
know if you agree with what I said. What's your thoughts on what I just said?
I totally agree with you.
Nobody
I have
speaks
some,
about that part. And I want to
yeah,
do a live with people, especially Africans from the bloodlines that I know, whether it's Nigeria, Ghana, especially Haitian. Nobody talks about that side. And that's
right.
why a lot of people who are new age, they're doing all sorts of rituals and they don't really know what they're doing. And it's a
Exactly.
dangerous thing, spirituality, if you don't know what you're doing with it.
It is. And there are some
You know?
ancestors, recent ancestors, that absolutely not. Not
Absolutely.
even,
Right.
no, absolutely not. Nothing is
Mm-hmm.
placed out for them if they're nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you're absolutely right about some not needing to be bothered.
Ooh, no, girl.
Some just just have a good nap and relax.
I
Yes.
had a wonderful guy on my live some time ago, recently, sorry. And he's a tantric teacher. And we touched on that for a second as well. And he was saying, you don't want to bring up the uncle who shot up the club. We had a laugh about it, bringing back up that gangster uncle. Hell no. So I mean, I'm taking a Mickey when I said it lightly, but you know what I mean? There are some people that need to be left alone. And how do people,
Mhm.
I mean, maybe if that's your practice, maybe you can give someone the feedback on this. How can people differentiate, in your opinion, who to leave alone and who not, from your experience so far?
I feel like, okay, so I feel like they have a couple of categories of people, those who have a direct communication with their ancestors and those that don't. They're just operating from a physical aspect of paying
Mhm.
respect.
Okay.
If you do not know certain individuals for real and you do not know what type of person they were, leave them alone. If you knew that they were not a very good person or a very chaotic person in real life, please leave them alone. And those that you spent time with, those that you knew, those that may come to you, and you have a relationship with them, even though they're on the other side, and
Mm-hmm.
you feel safe, you feel okay doing what you need to do for them and with them, then do that.
Why do you think
But
so many? Why do you think so many people, even such as yourself, feel the need or even the desire to speak with the deceased? What's that about? Do you think for a lot of people?
I feel like, okay, so I feel like our life has different phases, and then when we leave
Mhm.
this realm we go to the other. But I feel like when we leave this realm and transition, we carry a lot of wisdom with us, so then we
Mhm.
become an ancestor. So I feel like those that are still here may have questions, may need assistance with
Mhm.
things that we know that they don't know yet because they're still stuck here. So I feel like paying homage to our ancestors is a bridge to knowledge that we don't have yet or that we may need to know, or some sort of assistance.
You know, as you're speaking, it's the first, I think it's the second time I've asked myself. And guys, maybe ask yourself this here before we go to the comments and go to the next part of the talk. If you were at some point deceased, hopefully no time too soon for any of us here, would you want to be constantly, and I mean consistently, brought up? I mean, it'd be nice for us to think of that as a lot is me, leave me alone. unless, unless, because you know, people, even when you go to forest, I don't know about Louisiana, forest get togethers and drummings, they just banging everybody. Everybody's waking up in spirit. And I'm like, these people, I already know what I think of all that because they don't really know. People just wake up, wake up, wake up, answer, wake up. For me, I feel like I would like to be resting in peace unless a particular person truly needs my guidance. Because I'm not a seer, but I'm a feeler. And I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of visions through dreams, literally. Very, very, very accurate most of the time. So I would like to be used if real need. Like my grandbaby says, Grandma, I need you. Or my son says, okay, let's make it happen. Let's pop. But other than that, please leave me alone. Let me rest in peace, please. So I mean, obviously, guys, let's turn to the inbox. Is there anyone here, interact with me, people, that feel like you'd want to be left alone, or do you want everybody from anywhere calling you every 5 minutes? What's your thoughts? Where's my spectacles? But I'm gonna do another talk where I can hopefully have people from the core of these traditions who can give us some insight on what I was saying in regards to, the negative and the positive ancestors. Right. Yeah. Queen says, in terms of healing and protection only. Girl, you call me for healing and protection. I'm turning up.
Yes.
I'm gonna be there early on time too. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
but this constantly have this. I mean, I'm talking about every 5 minutes, whether it's on
Oh no.
lives, whether it's in gatherings, all I'm hearing is boom, 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 ancestors, ancestors. And I'm like, let me get out of here. I'm out. Leave, I'm gone. I leave. Because they just feel like it's one big barbecue joint and they're calling everybody. And I'm like,
Yes.
no, 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 no. This is like, yeah. So, Bay says, I've been through that hill. I wonder what you've been through. Okay, I wonder what the vision, I wonder what you've been through. Maybe you can tell me a little bit more about that. Or maybe you want to do your own live exclusively, letting us know what you've been through in terms of when we were speaking about, individualism, family, etc. And hi, everyone who's on the live. Yeah. Okay, so in terms of spirituality, is there anything more you'd like to share with us? Actually, I have a question. You said you have an altar, but you say you keep items of the deceased. Are these people that you grew up with by any chance? Or
Yes. So I have my parents on there and
oh,
my grandparents, and I limit
mhm.
it to that because I have a small space, so that's really all I can do.
what what
And
what kind of objects would that be if you don't mind sharing?
so from my mom, I have her perfume because she loves perfume. Um, and then I'll put food out, things that they like whenever I cook, and I'll put some like sweets out and fruit, coffee, things like that. And then from my dad, I have some cologne. Um, from one of my grandfathers. He was a farmer, so I have some
Mhm.
farming tools. And my grandmother was a seamstress, so I have like a little sewing kit. And on my dad's side, uh, my grandfather, I have a nice knife that I got, and then for her, I have like a little mirror, like a little beauty mirror, a little vintage one.
So there's
So
having
like
these
items like
objects.
that.
Yeah. So it's around your altar.
Yes, it's just on the
Yeah.
altar.
Does
Hmm.
it allow you to does it allow you to connect with them easier as a like a some kind of a porthole by having these objects, do you think?
I feel okay, so I feel by me having things that they use or things that they like, it personalizes their space. And
Yeah.
it makes it feel like that's their space in the home. That's for them. Nothing else. Is not to put anything else on. It's just
Mhm.
for them. And that's what makes it special to me.
I understand that. Have you ever
Mhm.
seen them? Have you ever seen them? Because you have
Oh
these,
yes.
yeah. So that means you
Oh
actually
yeah.
you welcome the vision, you welcome the entity, you want to see them, you want to feel them by having this altar of them. Yeah. Okay, that's
Yes.
interesting. And are they at peace by you calling them in this way? Do you feel like it's something that they want?
Yes, I feel like they are at peace. And
Mhm.
every now and then, maybe like twice a week, I'll have something happen in here. Like one of the pillows on my couch might just flip on the floor,
That's
or
what
I
I
might
mean.
be
You're going to
sitting
have
down.
activity because you welcome it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely have activity in here. And I had to get
Mm.
used to that
Mhm.
because when you're in an enclosed space and then something happens like that at 4 in the morning, it can be a little scary, but I have to remember it's nothing to be scared of. This is part of me. This is who I am.
Girl, you ain't scared because the invitation is the altar. That's what you called for.
So
Me,
I had to just
I get
pass
an Uber
that
and get
because
out
it's
of there.
no.
So
Right.
that's good. All right,
Definitely.
so let's read Chi's comment. Let's read Chi's comment. Whoever pressed the request button, this is an exclusive live. Feel free to leave a comment or go to my inbox and you can schedule your own live. That would be amazing. Um, okay. They said calling up on the wrong ancestors. I had never met my grandma in real life. You've got experience there. I definitely know what I'm speaking about when I say that. The 100%. And she says, we be acting like we control the other side. And when we call, they come like they come like all the power is here. Okay. This here might be like preschool and don't have to pull like we think. This and doesn't have to pull like we think. It's interesting. It's interesting. I actually think that opinions are just concepts unless we know it as a fact, But I think that if you think about it, a lot of us have so much concepts and we have no proof in real time. But because, I mean, unless you're someone like Chi or you, Jay, or the person, the baby on the live, when you actually have facts for what you say you practice, it's no longer a belief, it's a knowing in the knowing. Belief means you don't know for a fact, it's a belief system. When you know, you know, So I guess, there's all different sides to the coin, in terms of, oh, let's cancel that. Someone's trying to get on the live. But yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. I do want to do a live with people who can speak of the B side because I think we never hear about the B side. There you go. It's stories unless you've heard exactly. So a lot of things that I do say, and you hear me say knowing and belief is two different things. If I say I know, it means I've got experience. If I say I believe, it means I haven't and somebody else has told me. So yeah. But anywho, all right, so continue on. Let's talk about culture then, in terms of you said you wanted to talk about culture and how that relates to I guess relates or affects, you know, maintaining individualism. What's your thoughts on that? Or did
Okay,
you want to
so
touch them? Yeah. Or you can
I would.
flow. You can flow whichever bullet point you want to flow on that allows you to connect the dots.
Okay, so the biggest, not issue, but I would say, I'm gonna call it a bit of an obstacle with culture. Um, our adopted culture is based heavily upon religion. So
Mm-hmm.
me just emerging out of that and knowing what to take with me and knowing what to leave behind, it was a bit of a mental struggle because I didn't know. And I had no one to teach me because they didn't know. They only knew what they came from, and what they came from
Yes.
was passed
Yes.
down to them. So I'm out here like, well, what am I supposed to do? What should I keep? And every decision that I make ultimately is going to affect something else. So it was like a aha moment, and I really had to make a few mistakes to find
Yeah.
out what it was I was supposed to be doing.
How did you, when you say you wanted to know what to do, was that with your abilities where you now are, you became in tune with the spiritual and the visual side of you want to know what to do with it all?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because a part of me felt that it was bad. I was still holding on
Mm-hmm.
to those old ideas like, no, that's bad. You're gonna go to the bad place for that.
Yeah.
And I had to push past and stop being scared of myself, stop being scared of my dreams.
Yes.
Because yes, I always had prophetic dreams. I
Mhm.
always
Me
I
too.
always
We're,
talked
we're
to
not
people.
alike. Mm.
Yay. Um, my intuition is very strong. If I have a
Mm.
bad feeling about something, if I listen to that voice, I never fail. And all the times I didn't listen to it because I had people in my ear or my logical mind was doubting my intuitive mind, I always made mistakes.
I
So
always
that was
say
a
that.
big part of it. That was a gigantic part of it,
Mm.
was accepting who I was and knowing that who I was and who I was going to be was going to guide me. My inner self was going to guide me to where I was supposed to go.
So as you were around like people, family or whomever who wasn't able to lead you to the next step of you evolving in wanting to practice who you are actually, how, and you said you made a couple of mistakes in the beginning because you didn't know. Tell me, actually, educate me on where did you go next? And you almost answered my questions or a topic I had the other day with a friend. So where did you go next? Like, and what were the mistakes you made, if you don't mind answering?
I would say my biggest mistake was, okay, so I was going through the changes of adapting to my spiritual self and, leaving all the other stuff behind. And then I got in a relationship. And I got into that relationship with those old concepts still in the back of my head, thinking that this is what I needed to do. But I was constantly evolving. So
Mm.
I got into a regular relationship, and we ended up getting married for a few years. And it got stagnant because I was growing and this other person was on their own journey, and they were still scared and wanted to continue doing the same thing over and over without going beyond that and getting better.
Mhm.
And first of all, I didn't know at the time that selecting someone as a partner just on the sole basis of them being able to be a provider, the three P's, is not enough. I had nothing in my mind about alignment. I knew nothing about being aligned with my partner in a way outside of that, whereas we would stay together because we weren't aligned.
Come
I
on now.
thought just I
Hmm.
thought just because everything looked good on paper and because he was doing what he was supposed to do, in the beginning stages, and
And because you love each
yeah,
other.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that
Hmm.
was enough. I thought unconditional love was enough to just hold everything together if anything else went bad, but it wasn't because we weren't even in alignment. We weren't even on the same frequency. And I realized that by spending time during quarantine one on one, and I got to see a lot of things that I didn't know. And
Allow me
then
to
that
allow
was
me to hit
a
allow me to hit on something before you proceed. My bad. You use that word, which is usually my ding, 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 ding. You use the word unconditional love. I don't subscribe to it. And people are normally like, I tell every man I don't subscribe to it. And I say to him, if you subscribe to unconditional love, why you keep meeting new women or new men? Unconditional means unconditional. There's absolutely no conditions.
Exactly.
People don't understand the concept of you keep seeking unconditional love and asking and pining. Does it exist for that individual? Because if I cheat on you tomorrow, or you sleep with my sister, or I do something terrible, you're going to leave. That means you love me with conditions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's go back to that. When you say you thought unconditional love, you realize then you didn't have unconditional love, right? Because you left.
When I started waking up and seeing things for what they were, like this is no,
Right.
we have conditions. We definitely have
I
conditions.
have conditions. I don't care.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah, of course. Condition. I mean, it's a boundary, isn't it? I mean, if you look at
Yeah.
it, guys, some people say there is such thing as unconditional love. I'm not going to doubt those individuals who will go through anything without conditions. Maybe it does exist. Yeah. On an earthly plane, I don't see it. I see we are born in judgment. That's why we say thou shalt not judge. We all judge. We have opinions. You know, if somebody looks a certain way, smells a certain way, we have opinions. We make judgments. We have
Yeah.
conditions. Even saying respect me is a condition. Is a condition. Is there anyone on this live that can honestly say they have unconditional love for their partner, which means there's absolutely nothing that you or they could do. You will never leave. And the people that say they have unconditional love are the people that's been married 3 times. I'm confused. And
Right.
I asked this gentleman, wait, so you have unconditional love, you married 3 times. I don't think it's even 55 yet. Okay. And you repeated the same vows 3 times. Boy, bye. Bye.
Oh my goodness.
So tell us a little bit more about, if you don't mind sharing, the what were some of the telltale? I don't want to say red flags because we always carry red flags on everybody else, but not on ourselves. Okay, so what were some of the telltale signs for you that made you feel like there was a disalignment? But the love was there, the respect was there, but there was a disalignment, and you couldn't both go any further.
Well, I would say this. A lot of times when people get something new and shiny, they're excited about it. And it might be on a shelf that's way up here, right? So we have to get a ladder. We have to get some tools to get to this item. And okay, once we get it, then we cherish it for a while because we had to put in a lot of work for it. And then over
Mm-hmm.
time, it's like, okay, well, I have it now. I don't really polish it that much anymore.
Yeah.
I leave it out in the rain a little bit, sometimes fine. It'll still be there. We get complacent. And I'm not the type of person who is comfortable with that. When I see things starting to go downhill, I start having questions. I ask questions. I've always asked questions. That's why I'm here now. And I want to know like what's going on. We need to tighten up on X, Y, and Z. If we've made agreements on things we're going to accomplish, goals, and I see myself working towards it, but you're not, and you really have no excuse not to. Like we have to start making some choices because the years are going by. I still want to have a certain type of relationship that feeds me what I need. And this is not it anymore, but you're
Mm-hmm.
not meeting me halfway among other things that are going on that made it too hard to continue with that behavior.
Mm.
Whenever you start going into a depression and then my weight started fluctuating, I started stress eating, I had to make a decision. Hold up. This is not me. I was not like this before. I need to get back to who I was before and start over a little bit because now I'm
Mm.
going in a downward spiral and I've never been in this spot before and I'm giving so much but I'm not getting anything back at this point. So I know,
Mm.
and I felt guilty for a while because they say, oh, you don't get a divorce, you work it out. I have nothing left. I'm tired, I'm depleted.
Oh,
So I
wow.
had to make a decision, like I have to leave because my mental health is at stake. My physical health is not good anymore. I was on the verge of having high blood pressure. Everything that I
Wow.
had not experienced before was manifesting in my life, and I had to take the reins back and be like, no, you can't do this to me. I'm not going to do it to myself. We just don't need to be around each other anymore.
Mm.
Hmm.
So that was after 3 years of trying to be consistent and working it out. And
Yeah, we stayed together a total of 5 years. We dated like 2.5 years, almost three. Then we got married, and then we stayed married for like 2 years and some change. But there were
mm.
so many dramatic shifts that happened during that time, and a lot of okay. So even whenever it was our wedding date, so many things went wrong. I know Spirit was trying
Mm.
to tell me, "Girl,
Ooh.
take that dress off and put on some pajamas and stay home today." Like, what
Oh.
are you doing? So many things went wrong. So many things went wrong after that. I knew I was fighting my
So let's
intuition.
go
I
let's
knew.
go back a bit.
Mhm.
Even when you said I do, there was another voice saying, girl.
In the
Is that
back of
what
my
you're
head,
saying?
I was like, well, he's doing everything he's supposed to do, but just something in the back of my head just said, "Uh, I don't know."
So
Listen,
let's dissect that. When you felt the pull or the push that was saying do not, was it a clear do not, but the physical was saying we've gone this far now, just keep going. We've gone this far now. Was it one of
right?
those thoughts? Yeah?
Yes, I was thinking with my logic, I was fighting my intuitive mind with my rational mind saying, well, everything looks good on paper. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
being done right. So there's no reason to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever think,
Hmm.
like you see those movies and, the bride or even the groom, but often the bride says, I'm so embarrassed. How do I tell my family I want to call this off? Did you feel any of that? Like, did you feel any of that worldly embarrassment? Although it's strength to actually say, no, I've changed my mind, but we don't see it that way in the moment, right? So did you
Right.
have any of those feelings like embarrassment or I've let people down or did you get any of those thoughts that people have said that they experience when they want to say no in the end?
Not really that. I will say
Okay.
I had some fear. I had a slight fear that I
Fair.
couldn't really pinpoint. Definitely had a
So it
little bit
wasn't
of
a
fear.
clear no then, it was just a fear, which can be misunderstood for anything really, not actually a clear no.
Right.
Okay, so that wasn't a personal red flag telling you no then. It was just like, I'm fearful of, did it give you an answer of what that fear was?
It was just of so I was fighting in my mind, like, is this a good decision? Seems like a good decision. Should be a good decision. But something in my gut was saying, like, don't do this. Like, you do not need to do this. You need to wait. Not necessarily wait with this person, but you just need to wait before you do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't listen. And I felt it. I felt that it was gonna go from where we were to like downhill gradually. But I thought it'd be fine. That I was just being paranoid. That's not
I
paranoid.
understand that though. If you didn't have a clear do not, and I think that I actually want to do a live on fear. I've been trying to get people to come and do a live with me on the topic of fear and how much that can disable us actually as people. So I think if you've got fear, I believe strongly, not no, I know, not believe, I know strongly that it can interrupt my true intuition. It can start playing with your vibration and you start
Mm,
not, do you know what I mean? It's a bit like when you meet somebody for the first, look, you meet someone, you're in a relationship and you start double guessing or some people start snooping and, oh, my intuition said, no, it isn't. No, it didn't. It was your previous situation and it was fear that whatever happened before may happen again. So I think sometimes it can be very blurred. Fear can actually have some negative results, and it isn't intuition speaking at all, you know?
exactly.
So interesting question would
Exactly.
be, are you still in touch?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
We
so
are
you chop, clear, and cleanse like me then.
hmm
Hmm.
Yes. It was a bit of a bit of a fight to fully get away. But whenever
No.
that complete transition happened, whereas there's no need for us to have contact, paper sign, you know, we can just go our separate ways. It was something. It was something. Definitely.
Was that painful at all?
Um, Now here's another thing. Absolutely not. Staying was
Oh,
more
I didn't
painful than
expect you to
leaving.
say that. I looked at your face. I was like, oh, painful. So it wasn't heart wrenching or nothing. Okay. I'm glad it wasn't for you.
And I'm not even exaggerating. I literally, when I transitioned into my own apartment again and everything, I slept
Mm.
so good. I had so much relief. I felt,
Wow.
I felt like my space was lighter. I didn't have that dark cloud over my life. And
Mm.
now I can heal in peace. Now I can do the things I need to do for myself. I can eat the way I want and, shed all of this depression weight that I've gained and everything. And now I can just be myself. It just felt
Mm.
good. It felt good just being in my house, quiet, and just enjoying myself.
So summarizing elements of what we've already spoke about, guys, for those of you who's joined midway, we are discussing maintaining individualism in a conformant environment, and we've touched on, childhood and how we could be raised, and that could be mixed with religion, and how we follow that trend of development naturally, and how we break out of that. And so the sister here has just been sharing that, how that transitioned into marriage, and having the love there, but not being aligned as we need to be with ourselves or with someone else, right? So we're at that part of the conversation. So what happened next? Where did your journey take you next? And where can, what do you want us to know and share with us in regards to how to continue to water and uphold being self from your perspective?
The
And then
first
we can
thing I
go to some of
did,
the comments after. Mm-hmm.
the first thing I did that I had been wanting to do, and I'm gonna backpedal a little bit,
Yeah, go for it. Mm-hmm.
towards where all the chaos was going on, and I knew that I would eventually leave. I had given up pork at the time, and I was
Mm,
slowly giving up one meat type until I got to the point I wasn't eating meat. So
that's good. Mm-hmm.
he fought me with that. Not fist fight, but it was a struggle. I made it clear I don't want to eat pork anymore because I just have reasons. I don't feel good when I eat it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just not good for us. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but it makes me feel good. I would hope sooner or later that you would try it as well, but I'm not forcing it
Mm-hmm.
on you. He
Mm-hmm.
said, you must be in a cult. You must be into some kind of witchcraft. That's what he called it.
Oh,
Witchcraft.
bloody hell.
And I'm like, I
Ooh,
literally don't
girl.
feel good. I just don't want to eat pork. What are you talking about? And so what he
Extremist.
would do,
He's an extremist.
okay, so we would do groceries or whatever. I would give him the list. If I was at work and he was off, he would deliberately buy pork. I don't eat pork. You can buy it for you, but I told you what I'm eating is at that time was fish and chicken and still a little bit of steak every now and then. He would make sure he would just buy pork to try and force it back into my diet.
Oh,
But
no.
I'm
That
not eating
alone.
it. And that was one of the things, one of the many things that made me realize this is an unnecessary power struggle. We don't need to be doing this. This is childish. At this
Yeah.
point, it's childish.
You know what's
So
reflected? Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
So when I transitioned on my own, the first thing I did was focus on my diet. I zeroed in on my diet and
Good.
started removing bad things out of it and
Good.
really fine tuning it to the point whereas my body was going to return back to its original state before all of the trauma, before all of the stress and the
Ooh,
crying and
yeah.
the drinking and everything, and get my temple right so that way I can be a better person for myself first and then I can continue on my path. That was a detour, but now I'm back on the right
Amazing.
path. Yeah, and I'm
Fantastic.
getting myself back together. Exactly.
That sounds so divine. It really, really, really does. You know what it reminds me of is, and we can go to the comments after, and I see a few people has left some stuff for us to read. You know what it reminds me of, guys, is different is a beautiful thing, even if we don't recognize that someone's different can be beautiful. Yeah. But here's what is a no-no. When it's clear as day that you are improving yourself, isn't just classified as different, it's clear elevation. Yet I want to do my best to pull you back down because of where I'm still at. You've got to go immediately.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're family, friends, I don't care who you are. Because clearly, when it comes to your diet, which is about, this food that you eat that's neutral, that does neither good or bad, there's food that you eat that helps you live, and food that you know is going to send you on a descending spiral. So the fact that you were giving up things that your body doesn't need, and to you, according to obviously your research, because I haven't had meat for a billion years myself, he would intentionally get you to eat it. That's
He would buy it.
interesting.
Yeah. And I was in disbelief because I'm like, you're one of my best friend, but now we stand
Oh,
divided over things that are so petty. I just want to make good decisions and accomplish the goals that we both agreed that we were gonna do. So what is the problem? And at that point, I had to make a choice. Do I want to feel good? Do I want to live correctly? And do I want to have a home environment
mm-hmm.
that's peaceful? Or do I want one that's chaotic? That
Mm-hmm.
was the only two choices I had.
So
Chaos or
good.
peace. I chose peace.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you chose
Because the
peace.
last thing I wanted to do was be 10 years down the road or 20 years down the road. And, in our society, they teach us, oh, just because something lasts 10, 15 years, it means it was successful. No. If you were miserable for every year out of those 10 years, it was not successful. You just didn't end it in time.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are very much more prone to celebrating how long they've been in a relationship than actually admitting it's not a healthy relationship. And I guess, to each their own. We all have our little internal power struggles. And I think you get people that can be comfortable in solitude and being by themselves, and people that cannot, and by any means necessary they'd rather stay in that relationship and just say, well, I've been with my guy for how many years, or my woman. It just depends on what's important to people. But I think having a relationship with yourself, especially in singlehood, is a lot more empowering than pretending.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
kudos to you. It actually reminds me of someone I used to date. They
Mm-hmm.
knew clear well that a treat would be something naughty every blue moon. You want to keep coming to my house with biscuits and donuts? I mean, really, that wasn't my life. That wasn't my dietary. Every time I see you, you're bringing. I mean, you bringing me a bag of fruits. You
Yeah.
bring donuts and biscuits, and I thought to myself, plus they smoked. That was the fact that I even dated a smoker was actually a big deal. To be honest, I was like, you got to go, because there ain't no sense trying to be on a elevational path, and then you're around people that actually doesn't honor that and is trying to encourage you back to where you've already come from, left.
Right.
So that don't make no sense. So
That's the word.
let's go to the comments, and then we can go to wherever you want and wind it down. Mm-hmm. Let's go back. Let's go back. First of all, Tree has put little eyeballs on there. I wonder what that meant when you done that. Oh, and someone says, Rashid King says, why can I not hear? I'm not sure. Everybody else is hearing. I'm not sure. Relax has joined the live. He says, wow, you're so beautiful. That more likely is to you. I'll have that too. Thank you. um, yes, please. Dope Female says, I'd like to share my perspective. Leave comments in the comments box. Please feel free. If you want to have your own live, inbox me and we can schedule your own exclusive talk. That would be amazing. Where's Chi gone? Huh? Okay. She asked the question, didn't you want to marry him because you could be yourself? That is the most amazing kind of relationship when you could be yourself, even if it doesn't last, you know? So she said, didn't you want to marry him because you could be yourself? So I guess we're asking, like, what inspired you to marry him in the first place?
So that's a good question. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, because you have to remember we're constantly evolving. At the place I was, I could be myself at that point, but then I was constantly transitioning and we got to a point whereas I was not the same person I was whenever we got married because I grew a little bit. So I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't be myself anymore after that. When I still had a lot of toxic things that I was doing and being okay with, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
my
then
evolved self, no.
because she then says, like marrying him to where you could be yourself rather than you leaving, than being yourself. So that kind of answers your question. What would you say in your journey so far in terms of holding on and homing into who you are as you discover each day as a spiritual being, who you really are, as you let down the external people for who they think you should be according to what they want to dictate? What has been your greatest challenge so far?
Let's see, my greatest challenge.
Mm.
That is a good one.
Mhm.
Um, I
Because
would
then,
I would definitely say
mhm,
at one point acceptance was a very hard thing that I had to learn. I had to teach myself acceptance
the
and
self-acceptance, yeah.
hmm
Mhm.
and definitely healthy detachment from
Mhm.
from things that I thought defined me,
Yes.
from maybe things that I've done,
Mhm.
and external things as well. But those two
Mhm.
things, self-acceptance and detachment, were like a major thing for me to have to work on. I feel like once I worked on them, I was able to let go of myself and just be me.
Would you say that you are in a place now where you could say, you know what, I'm being myself?
I am.
And how exciting is it?
It's very exciting. It's very exciting because that tells me that I am on the right path to whatever journey that I'm supposed to be on.
Mm. Did it feel for you like a rebirth at all?
It did. It really did feel
Mhm.
like a rebirth. That that sums it up. It felt like a rebirth. It really did.
It
It
would.
was a fresh breath of air. It was like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I'm
Mhm.
me. I thought I was me before all of this, but I am really me now because I've went through the
Mhm.
pain and then I had time to process it because I was processing it as I was going through it. And then now I'm where I'm at and I'm able to shed all of that, but I left with a lesson.
Mm.
And
Do
that
you
same
think,
lesson,
go on, no, you go.
oh, sorry. And that same lesson was probably what I needed to go to my next phase, whatever
Yeah.
that is. Yeah.
I say rebirth as well because some questions just cannot be engineered. Some questions can be generic, like I ask you, and some has to be because I've experienced that whole journey. So and in terms of rebirth, that can be done in there's so many veins and realms that can be in. But I think it's an exciting journey within any realm for someone to actually unlayer and take off the veil that we almost placed on ourselves. Because we say, as children, of course, every one of us, as guardians or parents, we raise our offsprings the way we think is best, whether it's in insanity or sanity, you know. And then you get to a certain age and we have this lingering veil, but then it's down to us. It's down to us. So I'll give you an example, more extreme example. I was speaking to an acquaintance about 2 years ago, and I said to him, have you ever experienced heartbreak? He said, yes. I said, have you ever broken anyone's heart in reverse? He said, good question. He said, I don't know. So I said to him, ask me that question. He said, okay, have you ever had your heart broken? And I said, only by me. And he was like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, I'm saying that for a reason. I don't know how that's going to hit you guys, but if you can think about it for a second, I've never had my heart broken by anyone but myself. And it's not because I'm invincible. It's not because I cannot have my heart broken by anyone. But to this date, as I sit, I have only fractured my heart myself, based on my own ideals, based on my own worldly assumptions, based on your own yearnings, based on, because it's based on me. I take full accountability for those experiences, you know? So in terms of like individualism, once you get to adulthood, it's total courage, it's total conviction. And I think it's a lot easier to study for a bachelor's degree or a master's, which many people have, than it is to say, I've got a degree in being thyself. How about that? Yeah. So that's where, so I know by listening to you where I've, you know, my journey, and I'm at the other side, you know, and I say to myself now, are we ever 1,000% ourselves? Probably not. Because there's going to be worlds where you have to limit, curb, bend, and be flexible in the workplace. We're living in a Babylon system. You can't 100% be yourself. But it's levels where you can say, yeah, on this earth, I'm me. Once you can say that, it's very freeing.
Indeed.
You know? Yeah? All right. So as we wrap up this live, is there anything that I didn't get to ask you, or any points that was really important to you that you needed to zoom in on so people can, you know, I don't know, home in on the embodiment of this whole conversation? Have I missed anything? Have you missed anything? Do you want to say anything?
I think we pretty much covered everything. I really enjoyed it. I will say this. One of the biggest aspects of being able to tap into who you are is being able to unlearn. Because a lot of times we focus on learning so much, we forget to focus on unlearning so we can free space in our head to take on new concepts.
That's where I'm at. That's the most, yeah, I couldn't have ended the life any better. Unlearning, unknitting thyself. And that's where I'm at. Exactly where I'm at. Unknitting the things, the ideals, the this, the that, and coming up with a brand new sweater and seeing what it looks like. Yeah, that's amazing. Before I bid you farewell, let's look at what she has to say. This is my friend She. And if you met him, you definitely know he's the epitome of thyself. Yeah, let's see what she has to say. Where's my comment gone? She says, I can only look at the things I've done or not done. Okay. Okay. Thank you all for your participation. Let me see. Okay. Joddea, that was a very reflective live. I hope when you watch it back that you are also proud of your transitions in life, because I think sometimes, you know, we live every day, and we go through these changes. And sometimes I watch back every single live that I do. Every single live I watch it back, and I watch it back so that I can see how I can improve myself. You know, honor the guest speaker that came on. So I think when you watch it back, I know you do your own lives by yourself, but when you watch it back, I hope that you feel like, yeah, that's me. I did that. I'm definitely at that place. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my very last question to you is what I ask everybody before they leave. How this, you know, your afterthoughts. So what are your afterthoughts? How was your time with me today on Free Flame Thoughts? How you feeling?
I enjoyed it. I feel like we covered a variety of subtopics within like our main topic that we were discussing, and I feel it was a really good space to discuss things that people typically overlook or they don't even think is important.
Yeah.
Very beneficial. Very.
I enjoyed it, especially elements of spirituality. It's my favorite conversation. So, Joddea, you were amazing. You are very beautiful in your space. Keep being you. Just keep being
Thank
you.
you.
You're on a great path because you're absolutely glowing. Absolutely glowing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presence. Chi, do you have one last comment before you disappear? Yes, you are expressing. You are so wonderfully expressive. Wonderfully, yeah? Thank you, Jodia. Feel free to
Thank
exit. Oh,
you.
but before you go, I do want to do a live in regards to speaking deeper in terms of ancestors and practices. And when I do, I'd love to have you back.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
great. I would love to.
Yeah, and if
Hmm.
you know a crew of people that want to do it, we can have multiple people on the live, on and off the live, and that would be super. Let me know your thoughts on that, yeah? So
Okay,
we'll make that
I
happen.
will.
All right?
Thank
Peace and love.
you.
Namaste, my
Okay.
darling. Bye.
Bye bye. I'm trying to figure out how to leave the lock.
Oh, sorry, you have a little X on the left or the
Oh,
right.
it's my first time. Okay,
Sorry, you done
bye.
great for your first time. See ya. Can you see her? There you go. Oh, that was lovely. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure she absolutely. Yeah, your vibration is, we all have our journey, and I think it's better late than never. But to leave this earth, never tapping into that side that's been hidden, or that side, whatever side it is, as long as it's not hurting anybody, as long as it's not causing any harm to yourself or anyone else, we don't need to suppress it. But I guess we're living in a world that's so conformant and so cloney and so trend that anything slightly different, is steered upon, even if it means dressing different, and so people rather not everyone wants to be stared at all the time or spoke about, but it takes courage to be you. So all of us, it takes courage to be us. Yeah. You want to wear that random purple dress? Wear it. You want to wear that pink suit? Wear it. You want to have your room colored black? Hey, someone's going to hate it, but do it. Just do you. Let me see. Let's see. I got some comments. You fill 2 pages in your journal from this live. Oh wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And she says, finding the love in yourself. Yeah, the love in yourself. That whole, you know what? I dig me, motherfuckers. That's the one right there. Yeah, I dig me. That feeling of, you know what? I dig me. And I remember saying to my son a couple of days ago, no, it was yesterday, about whatever job we do, regardless of the job we do, what you own, whatever you study, be mindful of adding good karma in this life. And I said to him, if I was to ever have another son, which I won't in this life, I would call him karma. If I had a daughter, I'd call her infinity. These names mean a lot more to me now as an adult than when I was younger. And karma is what you put in. It's not always bad karma. You can leave good karma on this earth. So I think what's important is, to me, is balancing how much good karma that I'm leaving on this earth, and having the courage to do that as well. Yeah. All right, guys. The person who spoke about the journal, inbox me. Let's chop it up. Let's arrange your own live. Yeah, let's make it happen. Is somebody trying to get on my live? Let me see. If somebody's trying to get on the live, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to disconnect this live, and you're going to come into my inbox. And if you actually enter my inbox and someone's been trying to come on, I will come straight back on and do a whole nother live. Yeah, spontaneously tonight. So if you go to my inbox now and tell me what is it you want to talk about, I can press the live button and come all the way back just for you. All right? Thank you, lovely. Namaste, guys. Thank you so much.